Hello and welcome back to episode 4 this time of the Blues Focus Live Lounge. I'm your host, as always, Kieran. Today's subjects that we are going to be covering, we've got a bit of a show as we've had a little bit of a gap. So we're going to be talking about the potential relegation battle that we're in now and how serious that is for us. We're going to be talking about Mowbray's illness and what that could mean for him being away. Long's departure, how that's going to affect us right now with current squad situations. We're going to touch base on Tom Wagner's interview the other day and also going through a little bit of the UB40. So, hello, let's get your questions in. Let's get people saying hello and let's start. We'd like to welcome, as always, the King of Waffle himself, Josh.
Hello.
Hello, how are you? You right?
Not too bad yourself?
Yeah, not too bad, not too bad.
Time for another waffle.
Waffle session part 4. So yeah, let's get down to it. It's been a little while since we've been on. Hi Sam, good evening. Good to speak to you. Thank you for joining us. We've had a little bit of a gap between the last one and now, and a few things have happened. So what are your thoughts with, let's start with the Southampton game and we'll go forward from there. So what were your thoughts?
Not happy because it means that my undefeated streak at home has come to an end this season. But there's a lot of positives to take from that game. Attacking, we were such a threat. I think it's just it's got to be a big overturn defence. That seemed to be a big issue. The midfield after the red card, which definitely not a red card, just seemed to disappear. I get he brought Paik and Dozzle off. I just think they probably weren't the substitutions to make. I'd have maybe gone with Bakuna coming off. Even though Bakuna had a really good game, I think you keep them 2-1 and that's solid defensively, or bring in JJ off for that. But apart from that, I think we played really good football and there's a lot of positives to take. It was just an unfortunate result, and fair play to Southampton for staying with it to the last minute.
Yeah, I mean, we'll talk more about the Paik and Dozzle substitutions in a little while. But for me, they played their socks off. We've always said as Blues fans, we don't mind losing the occasional game if they put the team put the performance in, and they really did. They showed that heart, that desire, going down to 10 men, bringing it back, and keeping going and fighting to the end. Absolutely gutted that ended in a loss. Like a draw would have been a fair result with playing the referee as well. But you got to take these things as they are. We defended poorly at times, but like we've said for a while on here a fair few times, our attacking flair is promising. Like, we've got players that can score goals and we've been creating chances, and it was nice to finally see some goals coming from those chances. And ironically, less chances created in that game than some of the games that we've done, but we scored 3 goals and 3 good goals as well. They weren't necessarily scrappy.
I still think there was a few chances we had, which there's definitely a couple in the first half that we had that we should have been finishing. And that, I suppose that's the difference between relegation and promotion. Is it just you get them chances that you need to score and you're putting them in the back of the net? That's why you get teams like Southampton. They had 3-4 chances that were close, 2 good ruddy saves in the first half.
Yeah.
And then they had 4 chances after that, and they put every single one of them in the back of the net. It's a difference, like I said, between promotion and relegation. Is you've got to be putting that ball in the back of the net. Unfortunately, we did 3 times. I still think it's awful when you score 3 goals and still don't win at home. But there's still a few chances there that should have been finished, I think, and probably missed opportunities of players that sit in the changing room after and be like, I should have done better with that. But at the same time, after 7 games of not scoring, it was good to see Jay Stansfield get back on that score sheet and to see that. So there's positives, like I said, a lot of positives from it. I think Mark Venus is doing the best he can to work with what Tony Mowbray's got there and give him the best side to come back to. So, yeah.
It was a heartfelt game, and it really was a emotional roller coaster going up in 2 minutes. I don't think even the most optimistic of Blues fans would have thought after 2 minutes we'd be 1-0 up. We kept Shea Adams fairly quiet, that he had to keep dropping into the midfield, but then I think we lost him, and he created a few chances for them where he wasn't necessarily playing the main striker. And I know a lot of attention was on Shea. I was so happy that we give him a good return. And he even tweeted about it after, didn't he? So saying, or Instagram saying it was nice, but that was a fundamental difference in their attack to our attack. We were up against a defence that was quite solid, and they were struggling. Our defence was struggling when they were attacking, like that goal where their players just around the back in our box with all the time in the world. Just, it's so frustrating to watch.
Yeah, like you said, just jumping on that point of Shea Adams, I think a lot of Blues fans heard it around by us. So obviously we sit in the Tilton, and there was a few fans that were like, "Oh, why are we giving him a clap and stuff?" He scored a goal, he didn't celebrate. He never wound up fans. So you look at like Job, who was meant to be Blues through and through, was wind up fans. He never did any of that. He just got on and played his game. And then I pointed out to you, at the end of the game, he actually walked around all four sides of the stadium and clapped the fans before going to the Southampton fans. You can tell he loves the club. Obviously, he had to go and score. We knew it was going to happen. But he showed that he's a respectful player, and we showed the respect he deserves. But again, they had 3 chances that come in from corners, dropped in the middle of the box, and they put 2 of them in the back of the net. Their first goal, question if it's offside or not. We haven't got Tommy's VAR this week on our vlogs to be able to have a look. But from where we were sat at the tilt, it looked offside. I haven't actually watched the goal back. I can't bring myself around to watch the highlights because it's just disappointing. But their guy got the ball on the right-hand side. Second half, they scored 2 goals in 8 minutes. The guy's got the ball on the right. He's ran 30, 40 yards and then just bent it past Ruddy. Like, you can't do anything about the shot, but where's the closing down from the defending? We had 11 players on the pitch at the same time. I think Iwu and Sanderson were being dragged into that central midfield role quite a lot, and it was affecting that we were leaving such a big gap at the back, and they tried to just set Shea Adams off all the time with it, and Adam Armstrong, or whatever his name is, they were setting him off, and obviously that's how he scored. He broke that offside trap. If it wasn't offside, broke that offside trap, and he just buried it under John Ruddy. And that's where our defending needs working on, is that press. Can't play a high press and be leaving gaps like we are.
I just want to say hello, Susan. Hello, Teresa. Thank you for joining us. We fundamentally said in January, didn't we, that we needed to strengthen the defence and the goalkeeper situation. It's happening time and time again where we're conceding more and more goals, and you can only win games if you concede less goals than what you're scoring. And at the moment, even if we became free-flowing scoring, we're conceding too many. And that now, with, we'll talk about long going, that was a bit of a shock anyway, because we're a little bit tight there. But now it shows you exactly why we needed to keep him, with obviously Bielik being out for weeks now, as we know, with his abs. Sanderson's red card.
Back on Tuesday, isn't he, Bielik?
Well, he said he's got an ab tear, hasn't he?
Oh, so I read on Twitter that he had a 2-match ban because he got too many yellow cards.
No, he's tore his ab in training. Venus said the other day. So he'll be out for a couple of weeks. Sanderson's obviously got a red card. and Mark Roberts is returning to training after an injury. So how does that work going forward, where we've got Iwu, who doesn't fill me with any confidence? He made some great tackles. That was probably the best I've seen him play in a Blues shirt. Still not to the standards that I'd be happy to put him in as a main starter, but a much improved performance from him. But what do we do there?
I think the long sale, like Lee said in the comments, that long sale is going to cost us massively. Why we sold one of our probably best centre halves for a while. I said it was a reported figure for like 300k. Yes, okay, it brings in money and gets wage off the thing. But when we've been saying for not just months but years that our defence is appalling, that's the worst place to be selling. I said it to you yesterday. I think you look at our back four yesterday, and our best centre half was Ethan Laird, because he was everywhere. How we got him as cheap as we did is crazy. That is unreal. Buchanan, he's missed the last couple of games. He just seemed a little bit lost. Don't know whether it was just because he hadn't played a few games and obviously a bit of rust, whatever. Drame come on in centre half after sending someone off, and yeah, okay, he did a good job, but he's a bit like Iwu. I wouldn't trust him and Iwu at centre half on their own. I'd trust him at right back or left back, but
I love Drame.
Yeah.
Well, but I love Drame, I love Buchanan, and I love Laird. You've got to take one of those out of their natural position and put them in at centre half realistically. And I don't know who I'd put there, to be honest.
Out of the three, I'd put Buchanan. If you remember when we went to the Hull FA Cup replay, he played centre half alongside Bielik.
Yeah.
I think he did a really good job there, and he played that well that Laird would, if Laird's right back, or even if Laird's left back and Drame's right back, Drame crosses over, you've got that bit where Buchanan can push out that left back, allowing Laird to run forward a bit more and plays like a winger kind of feeling, like he did with Longello that match. But it would, for me, it'd be Buchanan. I'd be putting in centre half rather than Drame.
Yeah, I mean, and then putting Drame out there, leaving Drame out there. I mean,
I'd put Laird out left back, like it has been the last couple of weeks, and put Drame right back.
Yeah, I mean that's the options. I don't think we've not got much choice, to be honest. We need to play the strongest person at that position, maybe out of their position, rather than having someone just completely making it up as they're going along, because we'll get exposed quite easy. And with John Ruddy in the form that he's in, we just need to stop people shooting as much as possible. Regardless,
he needs to stop kicking the ball long.
His distribution has been awful, and it is the most frustrating thing, because there's times where he kicks it long and you're like, why have you just done that? Or he kicks it right down the centre of the field and your players are on both wings. It's frustrating.
Or puts out for a throw-in. Literally, we sat there yesterday, didn't we? We had a free kick on the left-hand side of the first half. I think you turned around to me and went, watch this, straight out for a throw-in. And literally, he booted it straight out for a throw-in. And I was like, you can see it coming a long time. But his distributive shooting with his hands is good. He gets the ball out quick, throwing it, he's fine. I think sometimes he panics because he's had a few chances this year where they took it off his feet, and he just smashes it as far as he can and doesn't really think about it. Where I think we need to bring in a keeper that's going to be a bit more cool, calm, collected on the ball. You've got Mike Taylor there. He was the king of putting it on the wing in perfect places. You've got someone like him. They need to start using his experience and bringing someone in that can grow with the experience that we've got in coaches.
Yeah, it's. I don't know. I was just reading the comments. I read this comment from Lee, and I thought he meant from this, put Duke in goal. The guy would header it out. He'd keep it out with his head, that's for sure. But I don't know why I thought that. I think he means in terms of like with his ball playing long, No, I think the idea of the team right now is to play it along the floor rather than the kicking it long stuff. So I think we stick to playing it around, sticking to the process that Tony wants, and keeping it that way, and definitely not putting Duke in goal.
John's put a comment here that says it can only be Iru and drama at centre half. I have a feeling Blues are going to appeal this red card for Sanderson because it never was. So we're sat here saying who's going to be centre half. We still could end up with Sanderson at centre half, although he was awful yesterday until he got sent off.
Yeah. There was a lot of stuff on Twitter straight after the game. I was reading about it, and people saying, "Is it that much of a loss that we've got lost him for 3 games?" Now that's our captain, our skipper, the leader of the team. So in that sense, yes, it should be. But also, the last few games he has been a bit wobbly. But surely, and that a centre half bit playing there is better than a makeshift position going there, and that's the important thing. But we could talk about this all night, but we need to go on to the previous game before that, and we need to talk about the Sunderland game for a couple of reasons. It was a little bit of a special one for Blues Focus. We obviously did the competition giveaway, and we had the 5 tickets given out to the winners. And he'll join us now. And we have a little video montage made up of how the day went, but we'll get Dave's experience from the game for him, his and his family. So we'll add him in now. So Josh, can you add him in?
Yeah, badly.
There we go. Hi, Dave. How are you? You okay?
Yeah, good. Yourselves?
Yeah, not too bad. Thank you. Not too bad. Good to see you again.
Yes.
Your brief thoughts on the weekend's game? Just gone.
Should have been a draw. Shouldn't have been a red card. But did they play well because it was Southampton, or was Southampton poor? I don't know. It was a tough one.
I've seen a few people saying this. Is it Southampton had a bad game? And we spoke to some Southampton fans walking to New Street after, and he was like, "It's the worst game I've seen us play for a long time."
And they have been on a bit of a bad run as well. So
it was actually really interesting speaking to that Southampton fan, because I thought they played really well. Their passing around was nice and stuff, but and they were breaking through the middle line with dropping Shea and then passing it wide, but he wasn't happy with the performance, and it quite surprised me that you've just come out 4-3 winners and you weren't overly happy. But it's one of those things. But mainly with you, Dave, we're going back to Sunderland because obviously we weren't able to do the live stream the other weekend for situations, but here we are. Let's Josh, can you play the video and we'll just get a little bit of a montage before, and then we'll have a bit of a chat of it after, if that's okay. Hello everybody, welcome to the Blues Focus giveaway with the Blues Focus Live Lounge. Here we are with our winners, Dave, Spencer, Bernadette and Little Spence. Tickets, do you want these? Make sure you look after them. What does it mean for you to be here today with a sellout crowd?
Kids are going to love it. The atmosphere is going to be amazing, and obviously if it weren't for the giveaway we wouldn't have been here, to be fair.
The main thing for us is for you to enjoy yourself today, have an experience that you potentially wouldn't have got before. Thank you for entering, enjoy the day, and we'll see what else we've got to come today.
Thank you.
So a little reminder there of the day. Dave, tell us a little bit about it. What were your thoughts on it?
Yeah, it was. The kids loved it. Spencer, obviously, little Spencer called the result. 2-1, so he was more than happy, and just
And he
obviously the
actually said for
surprising.
Mowbray to score as well, didn't he? He called. He called the result and the scorer. So we still need to get the bets on the next games for him. And
Well, funnily enough, we had a game of FIFA, and it was Southampton against Blues, and he was Southampton. He beat me 4-3, so a bit worrying, really.
There's a theme here, Dave. We need to get him start doing some of our pre-match predictions, I think, and putting the odds down. But obviously there was more than just the tickets, which was and you didn't know anything other than you had won tickets. So we put a few other little surprises in there. So we had a little quiz with the kids that they couldn't really fumble the answers too much. For them to win 50 quid to spend in the club shop. So and I know from an exciting point, from my point of things, we got each of the kids got something, and then you got a little baby as well that we managed to get its first Birmingham City kit. Yeah,
so she's nearly 5 months old, and part of it obviously she got her first kit. So once she's in it, we'll be sending some photos in.
Yeah, that's something that it'd be iconic for her. And I know you guys keep all your kits from you're saying that Spencer's got his 1 to 10 kits.
Yeah.
So that'll be a nice a momentum that will always be a reminder there.
That's the ball rolling for hers now.
Yeah. And no pressure. You just got to do it every season now until they're older.
I think it was the quiz itself and stuff like that. The kids it was so exciting for them, because obviously you go to a football match and you watch the game and you go home, but obviously with all the build up and everything involved, they really enjoyed themselves.
The quiz audio didn't quite save to plan. It was a lot of background noise, so we can't share that content, unfortunately, because it doesn't really come across that well. But we did a little quiz with them. It was 5 questions. Each could win £10. They just needed to name a player, name the manager, what colour the Birmingham City play in at home. They were questions that they absolutely fundamentally should have got, and they did. They both smashed all of them.
Yeah.
And we asked their score predictions, and obviously Spencer got it right, and Bernadette said 6-1.
6-1, yeah.
I would have preferred to have watched that game. And I even said at half time, I said, 6-1's still on. It's going to be a second half. But it was, that was good for them. And then in terms of the atmosphere, what did you find about that, Dave? What did they...
Amazing. I mean, obviously, the atmosphere, because of it being a sellout, was brilliant anyway. So to have the tickets and to be sitting where we're sitting in obviously the corner, sort of cocktail and corner, and then both goals being scored all 3 goals being scored in that end, but obviously both Blues goals being scored right in front of them as well, just even added a little bit more,
And how was your... Obviously, you see the ecstatic in the crowd when Mowbray gets the winner. What was inside you? What was you feeling when that winner went in the back of the net?
As from a Blues fan point of view, relief. Thank God. But just to look at the kids and them standing on the chair and the excitement on the faces, because Bernadette hasn't been very, very often, but Spencer's been a few times. But there's not been. I think that's the first occasion he's been on, definitely when it's been a sellout, and probably only one of a handful of times when we've won. So with everything else in the build up and then that goal going in, it was just brilliant, absolutely brilliant.
And we obviously the build up, we tried to make it as special as we can. So we did the club shop. We went and saw Bo and Bell, the mascots as well. And whilst we were there, we also met Gary Cook, which was he took time out and had photos.
I think obviously with Gary Cook, with the kids, it was nice but I think it was more the father-in-law.
Yeah.
I think he was like starstruck. He didn't know what to do with himself.
In those photos, Dave, he's like,
Yeah,
he couldn't believe he was actually there. And
I'm sort of looking at the kids, and I can just hear panic in his voice. Where can I put the bags? I need to move in.
it was.
But yeah,
really,
no, absolutely brilliant. And then obviously the end was when we met back up with you after.
Yeah.
And the surprise they got then was,
yeah. So
I think he topped it off really well.
I mean, the win topped it off. So we visited the club shop. You had your tickets.
Yeah.
We then took you in the club shop. You had 50 quid to spend in there where we got the stuff. We went and met Bo and Bell. We saw Gary Cook and had photos with him.
Yeah.
The win come in, and then obviously after you got a signed ball from the team as well, which was like the final gift on the bow, and hopefully topped off an experience that will be fairly hard for you to match. I'd hope, Dave.
Definitely.
Unfortunately,
Yeah,
for you,
definitely. And then obviously Millie, the photographer.
Yeah.
Some of the photos she took, absolutely brilliant. Absolutely brilliant.
There's a lot more photos that have been taken to everybody else that are watching that aren't necessarily being released, but there should be some good photos in there for you.
I never attended the game. I had to miss out due to work, and the photos that Millie captured of yourself and the kids and your father-in-law, I can see the emotion of the day in the photos. And I went through with Kieran the other day looking through the photos and was having a flick through, and I said, you could just see how much pride you've got to be able to take your kids there, but so how much joy was in their faces to be like, oh my God, we're here. And it was nice to see that. And I'm glad, obviously, that you won it and got to experience it.
Absolutely brilliant. And obviously Spencer has other issues as well. He's got CHD, so he's only basically got half a heart. So I think days like this are even more memorable.
It makes them special. Obviously, we had an in-depth chat about Spencer and his condition at the thing, and we are going to, as Blues Focus, do something for the charity that supports you a lot. So we're going to do that, help raise awareness. That will be coming. We're not doing anything just yet as to what it is, but tell us a bit more about it. What is the condition in a bit more detail?
It's basically it's HLHS. It's called. It's a hypoplastic left heart, where basically, literally born with half a heart, and then he's had 3 open heart surgeries, couple of more minor heart surgeries through like the veins. He's had bowel surgery. He's waiting another surgery now to have a peg fitted for his feeding because he doesn't take it. Well, he's got another condition called ARFIDs, which is a bit of an eating disorder as such, but so he struggles with his nutrition and stuff like that. So he's got quite a lot going on. You wouldn't think it looking at him, but he's got a lot going on.
But he still seems to be a happy chap and going about his days.
Absolutely,
it seems to be knocking him down, and I was glad to see that.
Yeah, he's always smiling, constantly smiling,
and that's the epitome of being a Birmingham City fan. I mean, the continuous fight. It was nice to see. I was happy to meet him. It was an honor for me to meet him and stuff. So that was a nice part of the day as well. It made it all a little bit more special.
I think he said. I remember you saying after you'd done the draw, and obviously you saw who the winner was. Yeah. You had a look at my page, and I think you saw some of the pictures and thought, "Oh my God!" So I think it was nice. Yeah.
Yeah, it was nice to see. Because when you messaged and said obviously you needed to know a bit more details before the games, you can't just turn up in it be a normal experience. I was glad that we were able to do everything and make it just that next level of excitement right throughout. So I'm glad we could do that for you. I'm glad you enjoyed it. I'm glad the kids enjoyed it. And
it's really good.
I'm glad we won.
Hopefully a few more coming up.
Yeah, I mean, we've got some tough games. We're about to go into that now, but I did say I'd only keep you for a short period, Dave. So I do appreciate you coming on. Thank you for doing that. and we obviously will continue to stay in touch
Definitely, yeah.
on how we get on to
Yeah.
getting some charity work done for you.
That's brilliant. Thank you, obviously, again for the opportunity, winning the competition, and like I say, definitely keep in touch.
Yeah, no, appreciate it, Dave. So all the best. Keep right on, and keep right on to the kids and the family as well.
Cheers. Thank you.
Thank you.
What a gentleman. Absolute gentleman.
Honestly, there on that day, it was a great thing to experience. It was always a nice thing to do for a family, but when you meet them and then you hear about their stories and stuff, it just made it just so much more special that we were able to give that to the family that really did truly deserve.
Yeah. I just want to quickly look at this comment before we go on to the next thing, just because I just want your opinion, because we haven't actually spoke about this yet. Hull away, how do you think we get on? I'm thinking another loss.
It's difficult, isn't it? They're sixth in the league right now, not playing bad football. Blues do well against the top. We struggle against the people around us, which is the scary thing about the next 5 games, isn't it? Because 4 of the next 5 are in and around us within 6 points. So I think we'll go to Hull away after a battling performance like that. I think there's a good chance that we will get a result. I genuinely think there might be a thing. But then our defence is what scares me. They're doing well with goals and stuff. So I'd be optimistic. If our defence can do what they need to do, I'd be optimistic that we might be able to scrape a 1-0 win. It's not going to be anything flamboyant. It'll just be a 1-goal scrapper, I think. And
I'm kind of hoping a draw. I'd take a point at Hull away. I think you look at some of the players we've got, maybe a bit disheartened after the loss to Southampton. It's all about if they pick themselves back up and get back on their feet and go again for the game. They had a really good game against Southampton. A lot of energy would have been used for that game. I think as long as they can pick themselves back up and got the team around them to build it up, I think we can go get a draw. The one thing I do want to say about the Southampton game, just to finish that conversation, is it was nice to see George Hall back on the pitch.
It was, even if it was for a minute and a half. It was
nice to see him back in the team and to see him fit. He's gone through a lot this season, and it's nice to see him back in the team and to finally be able to get back to a point where he might be 100% fit and get some minutes. He'll be very key in the end of the season.
It'd be interesting points, but we fundamentally need as many players as we can, and that is another midfielder to add into a already fairly clustered midfield. So it is good. It gives us different options. I do think Pritchard looked a little bit lost when he come on the other day.
I think it's a fact that he's only played one half of us, hasn't he? He's just come back from an injury. It was very much just get on and see what you can do kind of situation. So I think give him a couple of weeks to get back on his feet, get back over the injury and settle in. And I think you're getting back to how he was, but I wouldn't be too much on him at the moment, just because, like I said, he's barely had much time for us.
Yeah, this brings us on to the main conversation here, Susan. You've hit the nail on the head. The results around us we're having to watch now. Within 6 points, it takes you from where we are now. There's obviously the 4 teams up to from Stoke to QPR on 38. 6 points takes you all the way up to 12th. That's the scary difference. It's a 2-game turnaround, and all that way. We do have a game in hand, and it is against Middlesbrough, who are in 14th. We need to start winning. Sheffield Wednesday are on fire at the moment.
They're 3 points behind us. That's the scary thing. We are currently 3 points away from being second from bottom.
Yeah. They look really impressive at the moment. They've had a nice little turnaround. Blackburn are on the opposite they're on the dissension. They're not playing great at all. So they.
Although I said this to Tommy yesterday. Well, Tommy from the vlogs. I said to him yesterday, I watched the Blackburn Newcastle game, and John Eustace, the way he lined that team up against Newcastle, they were playing some good football. So I feel like their results might start changing soon. Bit of luck, and they're going to start getting points in. I think that could be even more dangerous for us.
Yeah, it's hard. QPR are in form, Swansea are in form, Sheffield Wednesday are in form. We're not doing bad. We need to stop losing and drawing the ones that we are losing. Essentially, like the weekend, we needed to have drawn that. I think we got to draw with Hull as a minimum. I think this comment. No interim manager. I think we've got who we need to stick with. That'll just disrupt a lot of things. Mark Venus has been working alongside Mowbray for 20 years. He knows the guy inside and out, and he's actually meant to be the brains behind the whole idea, if you listen to Tony's words. So, no, I don't think we get an interim manager in. I think that just disrupts everything, and we've already had 5 managers I saw earlier this season. So, no, I don't think we get another one in. I think you stick with what you've got and double down. The Southampton game, we played amazing football at times in little spells, but we just need to shore up our defence, and that's the only thing for me where we're lacking at the moment.
I saw this question put on Twitter, what Ricky's asked, and I've seen someone reply to it with, how would you feel if you had to take 6 weeks away from your job because of a medical emergency and they replaced you? And the bloke was like, I wouldn't be happy if I got a phone call to say, by the way, someone's taking your job for the 6 to 8 weeks you're out. I know you've had to have an operation and all this, but we're replacing you for now. I don't think it would go down very well with Mowbray and his team to bring someone in and replace him for the temporary time. I think it's just have trust in Mark Venus, get behind the team like we did at Sunderland, like we did yesterday. Yes, there's 23,000 something there, and we were still loud and still singing and going and trying to get behind them. Went down to 10 men and didn't stop. So Ipswich away, we seemed a little bit quiet. Obviously, I weren't there, so I wouldn't be able to say. But keeping behind the players, I think that's just all we need right
now. Let's get on our next guest for today. So we'll get Callum on now.
How you doing, boys? You all right?
Not too bad. Yourself?
Yeah, not too bad myself, yeah.
Good. Just brief thoughts. We've gone over a fair bit about the game the other day, but what are your thoughts about that? And then going forward for this whole game, where are you at?
Yeah, with the game yesterday, just obviously a bit disappointed and frustrated, but going into the game, we kind of wrote it off almost. Like before the game, did you really think we were going to go out and beat Southampton? It's just a fact. We went into the game, we were 1-0 up early on, 2 on the end of the first half, and then, as usual, start the second half, we just crumbled. So, yeah, just very mixed thoughts. I agree with you boys that we're really lacking at the back, and that was obviously our down point yesterday, and obviously Dion getting sent off. But yeah, just disappointed in the way that game ended. Really, just the usual, the boys switching off when it counts. So,
do you think that when we went down to 10 men, I said to Kieran, we went really defensively for a team that we brought on another defender and played 4 at the back, and we still played the 4-1-3-1 situation. Did you think that we were too defensive and trying to rely on?
We stopped the press entirely.
Yeah. I think you kind of have to stop the press, because I think the original game plan, when we had all players on the pitch, you could see that with the press, you had Iwu and Sanderson both man marking. So Iwu was on Armstrong, and Sanderson was on Che. Obviously, Sanderson gone. You can't play like that because it's obviously too risky. But I think when you're down to 10 men, you kind of have to in a sense. But I did think the substitutions were a bit weird. 2 weeks in a row, we've substituted both Pack and Dozzle off at the same time, and that's the spine of our team. That's our centre midfield.
I said this to Josh at the game. I say he took them off again. I don't understand that. Whether it's fitness or not, I don't get it.
Yeah.
And if it is, stagger them at least, because what they're doing at the moment, it's like gut punching the team, because there's a massive hole now in the middle where people haven't got into the game or settled in. And I just think that's what's failed us, really. It certainly helped in the downfall, let's put it that way, the last few games.
I think with them substitutions as well, what you look at and I struggle to understand is you're starting James on like a wing and then making them 2 subs and putting him back into that defensive role. I think if you're going to play it that way, you need to have James in like a cam position where he'll just drop back easily, where you're bringing him out wide, having him run around there, having him run around like doing that work, and then now you need to go sit in front of a defence, not push out wide. And I don't think that's where we're getting the best out of him in the games.
Yeah, I would have probably kept. I think Pack and Dozzle weren't having great games, but I probably would have kept Dozzle on, because I think he has played the 90 a few times, only until last week when he got subbed off around the same time.
Yeah.
I would have kept Dozzle on, and then probably bring in a Sunjic, like they did do. But I do agree with the James thing. I think it's a bit strange the way that they handled him in that game. And I also think Bakuna probably could have done with coming off earlier, because there was instances in that added time where he was the only man forward and he didn't have the legs.
But he also doesn't have the skills. Like, he's a very talented footballer, but he's not a guy to, like, imagine Dembele running at 3 people. You could imagine that he'd pull something out and be able to somehow do it. Where Bakuna, he's taking on the first guy and then running in the second guy.
Yeah.
Generally, and losing the ball, and then it just gets pinged straight back, and that's it. That's attack over. That was the first time the other day that Josh has actually seen Paik in real life. And now he's an incredible footballer. He is literally everywhere. And he is controlling everybody. And when you're actually at the games and you're able to not necessarily watch the ball, but like watch him for the next 3 minutes, right? And he's just like yelling at everybody, telling everybody, you should be there, you should be there. We need to do this, we need to drift. And you can see he's like giving people instructions live. And then literally 2 seconds later, he gets the ball and pings it where he's just told him to be. It's great for that. And he turns, and his intention every time, I'm going forward. And that's the difference, I think, when you bring on any of our other midfields. Paik and Dozzle both have that little 1-2 go, or they like to play through, and they find themselves in that middle space where they've left their other midfielder and they've got that gap there. Even if it's just to pass it back, it breaks the angle a little bit. I think that's
one of the attacks. One of the attacks we had yesterday, I think it was Stansfield had a chance, and it all come from Paik diving header in a corner away. And when I watched the game, and this is what I said to you, I was like, he's literally everywhere, because he's at the front post and he's dived and he's headed that ball away. And as he's dived, he's gone off the pitch. That ball's then made its way up probably 5, 6, 7 seconds later. Stansfield's at halfway and I'm running with it. I've looked at the middle of the pitch, and Paik is the furthest forward with Stansfield. And I'm like, the guy just don't stop. But he's the furthest player off the field defending that ball, and then bolting it to me. Yeah, I'm here with you. If you need me, I'm here. Got the ball in that centre and then made that key pass again. And I'm sat there going, the guy's just incredible. His actual ability and skill is to none. Like, he's incredible.
Yeah,
such like a change from the centre mids we've been used to for the past few seasons.
If you compare him versus Bielik on the ball, though,
there's such a difference. It's crazy.
like he already knows what he's doing before he gets it, and that is I think. Yeah,
he received the ball yesterday. We watched it a few times. I pointed out to Kieran. You watch him a few times. He's receiving the ball. The ball's coming from to like the right, and he's looking to the left. He's not even looking at the ball coming to him because he's looking who's out that way or who's out there or who's for. He's looking for his pass. I said to Kieran, to have that mindset of not even watching the ball come to you, but you know that ball's getting to you and where you're taking it. And then he did a few defenders where he was like, right, I look to the right, and then they'd be like, okay, well, he's going that way. And then he just dropped the shoulder, went to the left, and just leaving them. And it's honestly, the guy's got brain, like him and Tony Mowbray, they've both got brains of geniuses. And I think them two are going to be very key. Mowbray's got a lot of potential to bring the best out of him and have him playing some football he's never played before. But it'd be better for us.
Yeah. I was in awe when he was against Blackburn. He was absolutely unreal in that game, and it just showed the difference in quality compared to Bielik, Sunjic, everyone else that we've got in centre mid.
Clayton.
Huh?
Adam Clayton, Ryan Woods, the other players that we brought in them similar positions the last couple of years. He's just a breath of fresh air. Yeah. But like I said to Kieran, you even look at like right backs. Like I know he come through the youth, but we went from like Wes Harding to Maxime Collin, we all were like, oh my god, why are we getting rid of Collin? Like he's great. Now we've brought in Laird, and everyone's like, how have we brought in someone like Laird? We've been crying for a left back for years, and then we bring in someone like Lee Buchanan. Like, what are they doing that are getting these kind of players? Because it's a completely different style of football, and it's what we need.
Yeah, I think it's been a bit unfair how Buchanan the past few weeks prior to the Southampton game, he's been kind of not like he's not forgotten about, but I feel like at first when Mowbray came in, he didn't really like the way he was on the ball and his passing and distribution almost, because I think I can't remember which game it was when Mowbray first came in, but he was literally on the sideline screaming at Buchanan.
Because he wants him to play it forward, run forward into the space, doesn't he?
But at that point, he had Dembele on his side, and Dembele hardly comes to receive the ball or like really help.
Yeah, like we saw
his fullback really, because his work rate isn't amazing.
What are your thoughts going into the whole game, Callum?
I think it's going to be really difficult because they are a really, really good side, and it's away, and I feel like we'd do really well to get a point out of that game. I'm not expecting to go in and win it, especially with the fact now Sanderson's suspended and Bielik's injured and Roberts they're unsure whether he's going to be ready for Tuesday. So I feel like a draw would feel like a win almost, especially with all the other teams around us. The fact they've picked up so many points in the past 2 weeks, it's getting quite worrying.
I think looking at some of Hull's recent games as well, I've watched highlights. All I've been hearing about at the moment is that Jaden Philligan.
Yeah.
He's a player to keep quiet. And that Fabio Carvalho from Liverpool, he is one player we have to make sure that whether we go man-to-man or whether we got marking, that Peake and Dozzle in that middle of the park, they're keeping him quiet because he will just turn us inside out. And if we've got a weakened defence, he will be laughing in the changing rooms going, I'm going to get goals today. If we can make sure Philligan, their main striker, and Carvalho are kept quiet for the game, I think we've got a chance of getting a draw or maybe nicking 3 points, but I ain't going to be optimism, hype, and high or anything. But I think keeping a couple of their guys quiet and you're looking at a complete different game.
Yeah, I mean,
that
we
is
can do it. What did you say, Kieran?
That is where we've struggled, to be honest, to keep players quiet. That we need to keep quiet because our defence is rickety at best.
I say we've done it well against Blackburn to really keep Zamodics quiet, but obviously yesterday both Adams and Armstrong scored, so we do really need to do better on kind of preventing those players be dangerous almost.
I saw a comment earlier that said Ruddy played well against Southampton. We weren't saying that he's played poor because he's last couple of games he's made critical saves that kept us in the game. There's a one against Ipswich, and then there was 2 yesterday from Armstrong and Adams. His distribution's bad, but he is very much the reason Adams didn't have a hat-trick yesterday.
Yeah.
He kept him out. There was a chance where Armstrong's running again and he's had a shot and it's gone through Ruddy's legs. But you see that he's just the way he's angled himself. He knows it's not going in, it's wide. And he's a big guy. But I think sometimes he just forgets that he's a big guy and makes stupid mistakes. And I think I personally wouldn't be against maybe bringing Etheridge in for a game. And because Ruddy seems to have a game out or 2 games out when we've got cup games, comes back in and then has a point to prove. I think maybe Mark Venus has to experiment a little bit and maybe you try Etheridge at the back. Yes, his distribution's not the best, but he's a great shot stopper. If he can work on his distribution, maybe decent for the rest of the season, just to give us that bit of a difference. I just think the problem is a lot of fans are against him. Same as Scott Hogan. Fans are against him and it ain't going to do their confidence any good.
Some fans are against him. Some fans order 3 Hogan shirts, don't they, Josh?
100%. Hogan all day long.
I think now's not a time to experiment, to be honest.
But I think you've got
that
to
comment
change
says,
something.
like this says, we need 4 wins from our last 11 games. The next 5 games for us are crucial. We've got Hull, who sit in 6th. Then we've got Millwall away, who are in 18th. We've got Middlesbrough at home, who are 14th. Watford at home, who are 12th. And then QPR away, who are 19th. 4 of that, like where we've been playing the top teams in our last sort of 6 games, we're now playing the teams in and around us all as one big bulk. That is going to be huge for us because they are essentially all six-point games.
But that's where I would look at the experimenting for Hull. Because like I said, if you drop Ruddy for a game and that's going to give him a kick at the backside, like, right, okay, I need to actually just play how I've been playing before, get back to playing normally and not this rushing game and stuff. And you've got other players. No Blues fan is expecting to go to Hull and get 3 points. If you make an experiment and it works, you're going to be, oh my God, he's the best. If it don't work, people can be like, yeah, we expected that. But then you've got all your best players fresh for that game against Millwall on Saturday, because that would be the game that I'd be more focused on winning.
Yeah.
Yeah, I see your point, but I just wouldn't. I'm with Key. I probably wouldn't. I'd keep Ruddy in, I think, because we still kind of need to. I know we're not expected to win that game, but we do need to be competitive. And if there is a slight chance we do win it, we need our best keeper in goal. And obviously, Ruddy's kicking and distribution isn't great, but I would still probably say he's a better shot stopper than Etheridge. So I feel like we had to keep Ruddy in.
Yeah. All he should be doing this week is just learning how to pass into a bucket. It's an old FIFA drill they used to do where you pass it into the buckets. Just get him doing that for the whole week. Just kick that ball into that bucket. Now kick it into that bucket. Now kick it into that bucket. Now kick it over there into that bucket.
I think it's way too late for him to to learn how to kick and throw, and he's far too old now.
How many Millwall? I think we win both of those if we play the way we did against Southampton.
I think you also got to look at their results, because their results recently have been incredible. QPR have just beat Leicester, who are currently top of the league, at Leicester. And apparently, I've got a best mate that's a Leicester fan. He said it wasn't like they scraped a win. They comfortably should have beat Leicester. And I think that now with them having a new manager, you've got to look at and be like, oh, okay, they're going to be a serious side now coming into the Final Four. I think you've got to take that seriously, as serious as it would be if you're fighting for the top of the league, I think.
Yeah, I mean, I think with QPR though, I think they were massively underperforming anyway, because I think the quality of their players is much higher than where they have been in the league. So it's kind of like with them, it's a matter of time sort of thing where it all clicks. But I feel like with Millwall, I think they just play poor football, and I feel like that should be in the next 4 or 5 games. That's probably our quote unquote easiest game, almost, with the way we play football.
Yeah, I agree, and I think the important thing with Mowbray being out is we really need to play and choose our battles. I think is the wise way, and I don't think we should be going into any of these thinking we win. I think we should be going into all of these of we need to win rather than we will win, and that there's a difference there in your mentality. But he's out for what, 6 to 8 weeks, Mowbray. So that means 6 weeks is the first game back will be the Plymouth game, which obviously we'll talk a bit more about as well, because we've got the UB40.
Preston, not Plymouth.
What's that?
Preston, not Plymouth.
Oh, is it? Preston, yeah.
We
First
played
play.
Plymouth,
Yeah. That's the important one where we need to get to there and already be safe, I think, because it's just dodgy, isn't it? We need to get those points in as quick as we can. Hull, I don't expect anything from. I'd be hopeful for a point. Millwall, I'd want us to go there and tear down the den. Then Middlesbrough is a tough one. That's a game in hand that we really, really need to win.
I don't think they've been that great this season, though. I feel like we could definitely beat them, especially at home.
Yeah,
we could, but I feel like the last couple of years they've been our bogey team, because every time we seem to play them at our ground, they're not playing the best, but then they come to us and they beat us like 2-3-0.
Yeah.
So I think that'll be a game where we should have everyone back. Even if Sanderson gets suspended, we should have all our suspended back, all our players fit. Hopefully Tony Mowbray will be a bit more involved on his recovery by then. Obviously, we can go into conversation later about how that's going to take an impact on the team at the moment. But hopefully with all that going on, Middlesbrough might be a game where we can go, right, let's get another sellout. Let's get a push going. I know it's a midweek game, but let's just get behind them.
I think the crowd does really help.
Yeah,
it does really help. I mean, unfortunately, I wasn't at Sunderland. That's like the one home game I haven't been to this season, and I'm gutted about it. But from what I heard, I feel like the crowd was amazing, and it really pushed them on.
You were on holiday, sunning it up.
Yeah, fun. But
and skiing.
That might be, game of the year, sellout crowd. I don't think I've been to a sellout Blues game in about maybe 5-6 years.
Yeah, it was awesome from a fan point of view. The whole thing made it special, doing the giveaway as well. That was great. If we could bring into something more of the full capacity, none of us like the traffic going home because that was horrific, but the actual fact that the crowd cheered them on through that. When that goal went in, well, I've missed just watching celebrations. I had my foot in a cast, so I couldn't really dance around and jump as I usually would, but I had to stop myself, and I managed to actually just look and see the lower Tilton and the Kop just going absolutely berserk, and I just took it in. And I was like, oh, that feeling is awesome for us. Imagine what that's like for the players on the field to hear that, and then how loud all the songs were. It was just an awesome game, and we need to make home like that every game. You're going to win some, you're going to lose some along the way, but you need to make that really. St Andrews, when it's rocking, is unplayable, I think, regardless of the team.
But you saw it yesterday. Sanderson got red carded, and there was a bit just before Bakuna scored where over by the touchline, I think Buchanan made just absolute crunch their player. And you saw the crowd then just hype up. The crowd started going. And then it was like Stansfield went and got the ball back. The crowd got behind him from that. And then it was all of a sudden, the ball's flicked out to Laird on the right. He's running at it. And then the ball's in the back of the net. And the crowd roar. You heard the roar from the crowd. Of that, when you hear it, you watch on replays and you hear that, go on, as you hear all the seats pop up. I watched a replay of Bakuna's goal and you hear that, come on, and then all the seats go up. And I was like, you don't experience that when you're in the stadium, but you know what you're in. But then when you watch it back and you're like, wow, that was loud. 23,000 fans there yesterday. And I've seen a few tweets today that have said that's the loudest they've seen Birmingham, apart from Sunderland, the loudest they've seen Birmingham for 4 or 5 years.
Yeah. It was good to be there. It was nice, but we need that every home game, and then that brings in for the next bit of conversation, which we're potentially going to speak about, was going forward with the infrastructure comments from Tom Wagner. So, Callum, I know you wanted to pop on briefly. Do you want to have a quick chat on this, or are you off, or what would be?
Yeah, I'll stay on for this little segment.
Yeah. So, have you watched the interview with Wagner?
I've seen bits of it. I haven't watched the full thing, no, but
yeah,
I can kind of see what his vision is for the future, essentially.
Yeah, I mean, he says the words about expanding Birmingham's infrastructure. Now, that means literally one thing in a football club, really. That's stadium based. So we did put out a tweet yesterday, the day before yesterday, for what people's thoughts would be as to, and we'll see what the comment section are saying now as well. Would you prefer a built-up St Andrews to the best capacity that could be? And we could talk through how that could work with the current council situations, or would you want a whole new stadium? What would be your?
I think short term, I think it would probably be best to kind of improve and build up St Andrews. I do like the ideas and the vision both Wagner and Cook have been going on about in previous weeks as well. Because with the statement about the new branding, they did mention that they want to bring in fan parks. Eventually they want to host like NFL games or like concerts or anything like that. But I feel like that's a long way in the future with the current state of the club, really. So I feel like at the moment, short term, it'd probably be best to keep on improving St Andrews, I think. Yeah. What are both of your thoughts?
I'm with you. Short term, I think the answer is improve the stadium we've got now, make a few little changes, move the away fans over into the family stand, link up potentially the Gilmerick to the Cop, make it a 3-sided platform, and really improve those, because the Birmingham City Council at the moment are, as well known, struggling for money, struggling for plans. The things that have stopped Birmingham City Stadium getting to where they are council houses over the years. Gold and Sullivan have tried to do several things, and it was stopped because of council houses and putting up objections and all this sort of stuff. So now the council are kind of on our side, and Tom Wagner seems to be building a really nice reputation with the council. like coming over and doing the talks and all this sort of stuff that they've been doing in the e-commerce and all this, where are the council now getting on side where we could go, short-term investment, we want to build the stadium up here, we'll buy a few of these houses off you and shut these tenants up, sort of thing. Do you develop the area around St Andrews if you are buying a few of those houses and warehouses that are attached, like, next to the club shop, there's a warehouse there that sell cardboard. Like, that's a huge space on the side of our stadium that could be potential for this fan zone area that they're on about building or whatever that they mentioned earlier on. But the stuff like that where they could really improve minimum spend to get maximum gain out of St Andrews. And I think moving the away fans out and joining the Gilmerick and the Tilton would be a big move with a fairly minimal expenditure. Then get up into the Prem, get comfortable up there, and then go, boom, we're the second city. We're going to have Wembley Part 2.
Yeah.
But the only problem with what you're saying is, just thinking about, you say try and buy that warehouse, turn that into a van zone. And we've had conversations in the past where we said running from down there all the way down to the George would be a good entertainment place and a good fan zone. But if you also move the away fans, they're coming into right by the George. Are you going to want a big entertainment zone where people are going to be drinking at bars and stuff like that right near an away fan section?
Yeah, because you just close that road off from the bottom, don't you?
Yeah, but if you're building it all the way down, the away where you build down here, your away fans are literally going to be the other side of the wall, like here.
They are now.
But they're gated off. That's a wall. That's, I mean, you'd have to rebuild that whole.
We know from walking out against Southampton the other day where they unleashed all of the fans at the same time and it kicked off right outside the stadium.
That's the thing that I think Blues have got to look at for the future if they're going to build up St Andrews, is a safer and smarter way for that to happen.
They literally just sent out all the Southampton fans that were coming out singing a bit riotous, like, yeah, we just kicked your ass, straight into the Catal Road. And it literally just exploded. It just kicked right off. And they arrested a few people. And it's just like, how first of all, has that happened? How have they been allowed out? But if you're sending them out the other side of the stadium, there's a lot more control they can have on those back roads where you're not leading them onto the main Catal Road. I think that's the where you get most of our fans come through. So you'd be able to block off a huge area of space so nobody could really get down there. So I think it'd be fine.
The other point that I want to ask Callum, because I've listened to your views, and that goes to the comments as well. There's a lot of talk about Birmingham Wheels being the site for the new stadium. Is that realistically where you want the ground, or would you look at somewhere else in Birmingham, potentially the NEC? We had a conversation the other day because you're right by the airport, right by the motorway, train stations and stuff. Do you think Birmingham Wheels is the right site, or do you reckon they'll look elsewhere?
I feel like the NEC airport might be a bit too far out almost. I know you've still got the transport with the train and everything and buses, but I do want us to be as kind of close to the city centre as possible, because I feel like that's just a part of the club almost. So I do feel like at the moment the wheel site is probably the best / safest option if we was to move.
Yeah.
But I'm just trying to think in my head where else we could go really. Have you had any thoughts other than the NEC area?
No. The only conversation we had yesterday was I said about you look at how many different arenas the NEC's got. Maybe you knock a few of those down, build in the stadium there. You can use the rest of the arenas for your music or whatever goes on at them. You've also got the option there of arenas that are already built to build in fan entertainments like fan box parks and stuff like that, for not just for football, but for Super Bowls, for Euros, World Cups, all sorts like that. You've got a whole place by the NEC that's already like a game in place. They could buy into that and have like a kids' entertainment section there where they do like charity events or meet and greets and stuff like that. I think NEC would be a good place. But then we also have the conversation of Birmingham Wheels allows them to build exactly what they want. They looked at Man City's and went, we want better. You build 10 times better than Man City you've got, and you build it up there. Only thing that I would like to see, which is a very mixed opinion, would be the women's to get their own ground.
Yeah, no, a lot of Premier League teams have their women's ground separate. It would be nice because I feel like, especially with our women's team, I feel like the popularity is growing online. A lot more people this season have been following it. Obviously, that comes hand in hand with the actual rising popularity in women's football in general from the Lionesses. But I agree with you. I'd rather them have their own place that they could make home, and
maybe the women's and the under-21 share.
St Andrews.
21 share. That's a great idea as well.
And what they have St Andrews, and we move elsewhere.
I feel like St Andrews would be too big. The only way that I'd do it, as silly as it sounds, just for the way the game's growing, I would shorten your stands. I'd knock the top tiers off, and that'd be your stands as just a lower tier, and work it that way. And then eventually, long term, when the women's football in 15, 20 years, if it gets as big as the men's, you have the ability to then expand back up. But I think at the moment, St Andrews would be too big for a women's game.
Yeah.
The way that it is. They're averaging, I think, something like 2,500 fans at some games, like for a max sellout. And it's like, you've got a 30,000 seat stadium. Unfortunately, I think that is just too many. But at the same time, you could open it up for the Women's World Cup or Women's Euros and have a big stadium there for them to use.
How many do you reckon we'd have attendance-wise in a new stadium if we was to do, say, the Wales site?
Well, we can't fill our own stadium unless we put stuff on, so it depends on ticket prices, but a new stadium means ticket prices definitely go up. I think you'd still be aiming for a 35 maximum capacity.
Yeah.
Being real. And then for concerts and stuff like that, you'd be looking at a 50,000-60,000 seat stadium, because they've got where the pitches would then become seated area and stuff where you'd be able to maximize that. But 35,000-40,000, but could we fulfill it?
I wouldn't go over 40.
I think you do what Everton have done with their stadium, which is they've got the ability to easily increase their capacity, because all their standing crosses over that they can actually add another tier on and it expands out. I think you do something like that with 30,000. You have the ability to expand that capacity by 20,000 if you are pushing high-end Premier League. You have this stadium built that it's easy to expand it in a short turnover. Season ends in May. You finished 8th in the Premier League. You're going to get a lot of season tickets sold. We'll whack another 10,000 sets of seats in and build that capacity for the next season, slowly build up. But then if you start losing fans, you can bring it back down just as quick.
Yeah. It is difficult, though, because it obviously depends on the growth of the club, league-wise, and,
well, to be fair,
it's not really a guarantee.
We had a message here from a Blue Nose from Germany. So, hello.
Hello. Guten Tag, as they would say. Callum, we'll say thank you for having you on now. Thank you for your time. We're going to get rid of you and bring Tommy in on this same subject and get his point of view on where does he think we should be going and where we'll go. So, Callum, thank you for coming on, as always. Pleasure to have you on.
Cheers.
So keep it on.
Evening, boys. How are we doing?
The genius, Mr. Kelso.
Oh, God.
How are you?
Self-proclaimed genius.
Self-proclaimed genius, yeah.
Self-proclaimed
That's
genius.
It's
that's
all
an
right, we've got a
inside joke
qualified
before anybody puts it out in the comments.
engineer, don't worry.
Yeah, I'm all good. Yeah, it was a disappointing loss yesterday, but
Yeah.
one to learn from, I suppose.
We had a few bits of conversation in the pub before the game yesterday, and went over a few things. None of us expected that game to go the way it did yesterday. Give us 3 pros and 3 cons from the way you think it went.
3 pros, I would say. First good thing was the fact that we stuck in the game. I don't think we ever looked out of the game. I don't think we ever looked outplayed by Southampton. Scored 3 goals. It shows that we can, get some chances in and around the box. And also, I think the fact that the fans were also pretty on their back as well at times, trying to get them up and everything. And actually, as well, I think really just sort of the just quite a bit of a actually no, mentality is probably the same about the first point. I don't know, it's tricky to say, isn't it, because we're in a bit of a relegation scrap. Because I mean, you can mention like as many cons as you want, but I don't know, it depends on how you see certain players playing. Like I thought Paik was good. I was impressed with Ethan Laird, although he possibly is at fault for the 4th goal. I think Jordan James definitely is at fault for the 4th goal. Just a bit of a mess really, and how Aribo just had a free effort on goal. But yeah, it's Southampton. They were a playoff team. I think we had an opportunity to capitalise on their bad form, and being in front in the first half, I think was actually that'd probably be my third pro. Actually, would be the fact that we had the lead twice. Didn't help, obviously, throwing it away and everything. But yeah, it's one of those. They're a playoff team, so they're obviously going to be in the fight a bit longer than we are. But overall, I don't think it was a terrible defeat. But we just got to hope that we can start getting some wins against some teams that we know that we should beat, really. Because I know we've got Leicester coming up, and I know that they lost to QPR yesterday, so it's a big game for us.
QPR coming up.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, I mean, I thought we should have won against Leicester in the cup when we were there, but that's just sort of the way football goes. You don't take your chances, then you're not going to win the games. But even when we score 3 yesterday, we still lose. So just need to be a bit tighter at the back and keep on doing what we're doing up front. I thought the goals that we scored were pretty decent. The Miyoshi goal was great. Stansfield worked really hard to get his goal. Bakuna was a bit lucky, but even then, still there at the right time to capitalise it on the right bits. So it's one of those. I think it's just where we are in the season at the moment makes it a bit tense, I suppose.
Yeah, and what are your thoughts on the stadium thing? We briefly had a chats about it, but let's go over it again. Maybe you've changed your mind.
No, I'm definitely still of the position to have a new stadium. I've been in this sort of idea for a while. Me and my dad and brother have a chat about it. We chat about it all the time, literally, but it's sort of his idea anyway, so I'll just sort of verbatim it, really, because he's always been of the impression that we've got to be outside the city, really, in order to have a new stadium. Rebuilding a stadium in the city, it's just going to be like, well, why do we even need to move then? Where I think we all agree the fact that me, my dad and Jack always believe that it should be near the airport and by the motorway there, because like Villa, for example, their ground, it's right off the motorway, and you can see it as you're coming in through the motorway. I have to avoid it on my camera whilst I'm trying to get a good shot of the city and everything. Just like as soon as it's there immediately. And to be fair, as much as I fucking hate Villa Park, honestly, for anybody who's coming into the city, they immediately think Aston Villa right there, literally. So if you're thinking out of the other way, so coming from south upwards, and seeing the big Blues ground, big badge, St Andrews, this is Birmingham or something like that. That'd be great, particularly for people traveling from the south as well, rather than traveling down from the north. I suppose geographically or demographically, you probably could argue that the more the wealth is in the south, really, and particularly for business companies coming up from the south. But also as well, like you put it next to the airport. So for thinking in VIP terms, really, they can fly in from wherever straight into the airport, 5-minute drive, 5-minute taxi over to the stadium, and then watch the game, have some great entertainment to watch, hopefully, and sort of get like more of a relation going along with people in the background and everything. Which
and
I
also
think is
flying into Birmingham Airport and flying over
Yeah.
a stadium there would be quite a sight, and you'd be like, "Oh, that is Birmingham City Stadium." I can see that'd work.
Because what's it as well? When you fly into Heathrow, Twickenham is literally literally there on the doorstep of Heathrow, and I remember flying in there when I was going to Los Angeles a couple of years ago, and I remember thinking, "Oh God, what's that stadium there?" I just thought, I don't actually know what that is, and then obviously as I looked it up and suddenly realised it was Twickenham, I thought, "Oh, that's a great idea," because people coming in to watch the rugby or whatever, maybe it's the Six Nations or whatever, you come in from France or wherever, and it's right there on your doorstep. It's just fantastic. And I also think as well, it was interesting listening to what you guys were talking about, the capacity of what you would prefer to have. I mean, as much as a negative sort of turn it is, I would prefer actually to go for a lesser stadium. And I know people will argue for, it needs to be bigger. Of course, it needs to be bigger. But the only reason I would say that is at current stages, if we had a 25-seater stadium, it's not too much of a downgrade. And technically, it's kind of what we can max out anyway, because at the Sunderland game, it's 27,000 we can get. Yes, we are cutting 2,000 off of what we could get, but that 30,000, when it's empty, it is really empty. But when you knock 5,000 off and you make it more compact, then it's like, it's not too bad, and you can spread it out a little bit more.
23 in there yesterday was different. When you're looking along it's the lower Tilton and the Cop, which is always the bit on bloody camera for the TV company. That's where it's usually empty, and that sometimes looks so empty. And if we can maximize where we look full, or create, we were saying about a sound barrier stadium where we lock in the sound, 25,000 people will feel like 45,000 people.
Yeah,
with the right fans.
I think as well, though, I think what a lot of people are a little bit worried about with a new stadium really is the fact that it wouldn't look like us. But I feel like we've got to, if we are going to have a new stadium, I think it's just the location really, and perhaps some of the, you could have more suites in the new ground or whatever. You could build further out rather than more on the pitch and the stadium. I definitely don't want like a bowl-shaped stadium. That can if that's on the table for a new stadium, I'm off the idea, because I have no interest in those stadiums. They all look the same. They've all got that same empty feel to them, really. And I've been to the Rico a couple of times, and every single time I've been there, it's always been pretty meh, really, in terms of the atmosphere. And I went when Coventry were about to be playoffs, and everything, but you lose so much of the atmosphere. But when you're in like a tighter stadium like St Andrews, it's so close, and from the cup corner, really, like if you're sat in the cup and you're looking into the Tilton, there's not much of a gap really because of how close it is and everything. You're in the Rico Arena, you're in this away end, and the home fans are there. It's like miles away, honestly. So yeah, I would not want a bowl-shaped stadium. Those are definitely off the cards for me. I would definitely still say though that location is key. I think you could build further out, so rather than on the pitch, you can build more suites and executive rooms further, like going that way outside towards the stadium. You can have a proper car park that's proper security and everything. I know that's been a topic of discussion lately. I mean, like, it's a bit silly really that the Blues are having to sort of sort out their own parking. I feel like that's more of a policing issue if people are going to start nicking the front of people's cars off. So I feel like if you had your own car park, at least you could at least monitor that, And I know we have our own car park at St Andrews right now, but you can make it big, like proper
It's
sort of airport big.
150 people though, it's tiny.
Yeah, it's true.
And you get a lot of it is staff and players and stuff that park there that don't park on the back.
That's true, yeah. I mean, like with staff and players, with a new build stadium, you could have an underground car park.
Yeah, I was about to say that. Tottenham have got it, haven't they? Where all the coaches and stuff go underground, so they're not even in the way.
This comment here would be awesome just imagine if we had a Blue Stadium
right by
an airport.
Yeah.
Imagine that's a day out. They can literally come.
I mean, literally, like Phil here, if he lives in Germany and everything, like he flies into Birmingham Airport, he could literally walk to the stadium. He doesn't have to worry about taxis. He doesn't have to worry about hotels. He can literally just, as soon as the game's finished, back into the airport through security, and then take back off into Germany or whatever. Or he can, because as well, right by the airport, you've got the train, so that can go straight into New Street as well.
Yeah.
Could you also look at it maybe working with the council and working with the airport that if you're buying a ticket to come to the football, you don't have to go out and all the way back through security. You can literally do that on your walk.
Perhaps,
Literally as an entrance way. Like as you get the trains that went across the top, you could have one that's purely just for football fans, and you have to use your match ticket to get through the barrier, which means then obviously it shows you got a flight. But maybe something different like that where it's not having to faff around going in and out and stuff. You could just go straight from place to another.
We say that, but Phil wants to keep a historical stadium. So
I get what you mean. I definitely do.
Yeah.
I mean, like St Andrews is fantastic, and to see it get knocked down for a shopping centre would be disgraceful, really, because of how much has gone on there and everything. It's like, well, I suppose that's just the way the modern world is, and that's like, if there's money to be made with something else, then the stadium can't be there forever. They're going to knock it down and put something else there. It might be housing, I don't know in particular, but
I think that's where you knock it down and you build a women's stadium.
maybe it depends though what's there.
You keep the heritage of the ground.
Yeah, I don't think there'd be a point in moving then, though, because you just keep St Andrews and build a women's stadium somewhere else, perhaps. I agree with what you're saying on the women's stadium, because I know that the reason they play at St Andrews is to do with some financial reason, but they always used to play at Solihull Moors, and I think it was at Stratford before that. But that was perfect for them. They had like the right amount of fans for the stadium. Easy to get to. It was easy to monitor and everything, and I think the atmosphere benefited for it really. Where you're getting a couple hundred into, I don't know, it might be a bit more than a couple hundred now, but however many you get for a women's game in a 30,000 seat stadium, it's just not good enough really. You just need that tighter community, and it's a different sport as well, the female game. And you can't have people like my brother coming around and effing and blinding all the time. It's a different environment, it's a different culture. So, if you treat it like a different culture and give it the respect that it deserves, like playing it in a proper stadium for them, it would be perfect, because people who do enjoy it will be in an environment they feel comfortable with, and I feel like that's should be taken into consideration with
and that's really important with like the game yesterday was her game too, as well, so that they're going through that, and the club are really making an effort to put women's football on the map. With your season ticket, you now get to go to free women's games. With bringing Hope Powell in, there's a huge statement. And then they're also bringing in international players and giving them new contracts. So they're trying to expand not just the men's game, they're trying to expand the women's game. I think they're going to plan on doing it through the academy as well, which we'll see over the next coming months if we're going back for like a category.
I'm just reading what Phil's been saying in the comments here. He says, but why would you not want to go to the football and have a curry on the way back and a few pints? So I do get what he means. There's another thing, actually, I completely forgot, actually. One thing that moving away from St Andrews would do, particularly if we do move out towards the airport, one, it would take away from us literally from the city, really, because it would be like, been like a 15-minute walk from the city centre to the stadium. But also the pubs around Birmingham, that's a massive change, that is. The Roos won't be able to do that. Well, you probably could, but it depends on what you're doing. But the Roos won't be around the stadium anymore. Neither would the George. Neither would the tavern in town, where we took
Norton's.
a few marches from. Norton's, which
Your
we
new
went to
favourite pub.
yesterday. Oh, it was good, that was. I enjoyed it, I really did. I wish we had gone into the back, though. That was much better to have gone there, because that would have been... But we could have had a seat. That would have been a start.
We got that on Middlesbrough, night game.
Yeah, could do that, yeah.
A school night. We'll... the pubs are a huge thing, because they're on about bringing it in for the city of Birmingham. Now, if you take out we saw the walk, we did the walk, we saw the amount of people going into all of the pubs, the amount of blue shirts from the station right the way through. We saw all that firsthand. There's so many more fans than what you realise don't just drive to the game and then drive home.
Yeah.
That's a lot of business they actually pull out of Birmingham more than anything. But fundamentally, it put all that money in the pub, into the club. So if they did build a stadium and put a pub outside, or they could do a home pub and an away pub and all that sort of stuff. If they're actually building specifically for a new stadium to have that, maybe you just bring all that money into the club then.
Yeah, it's a good point.
Out of the city, isn't it?
It all depends, really, what the board want. I think the fans would still want the same experience they get because it's familiar with them. They know the routine. They arrive at the pub. They know their mates are there. They know the people who are working behind the bar. They don't have to worry about where they're parking for it or anything. And then it's just a short trip over the road to the ground, and then they go and watch the football for a bit, and then head into town afterwards, and they go into there.
With the improvements Birmingham's getting, if you were to move us out of the city, would that still be an issue if you had a tram that made it from city centre to the ground in, say, 10 minutes?
Well, if it was in 10 minutes, then I don't think that would be too much of a worry. If there's a train that goes from Bawdsley, let's say, out to the stadium, I think that would be great. And I think most people would actually approve of that because, particularly if it was cheap as well, the train, you could park in the city centre or maybe even get the bus into the city centre, do your normal Blues routine in the match day morning, and then jump on the train or the tram straight out to Solihull or wherever it is. It might be even Henley and Arden, actually, out to the stadium. Because I know the Epic Centre, the one where Blues have been training at, is in Henley and Arden.
That's Henley and Arden, yeah.
Yeah, that's that sort of area. I've got family relatives who live out there. It's really weird for me to say that, actually. But yeah, head straight out to there and then watch the game from there. 10 minutes back on the train. Buff, done, But that would be perfect. The only problem is it's never going to be that, is it? It's always going to be an hourly train, and then you have to cram everybody on, and they'll be fucking delayed. You have to go through every single stop on the way to Solihull or wherever.
But that's what I mean. If you set say for example, at 2:00, there is one specific train that pulls up at 2:00 that doesn't stop anywhere. It goes from one station to the ground. That is it, and it is purely a fans train.
Yeah,
you're not going to have anyone else getting on it because it goes to if you build it in a new situation, you have a station that's only there for football. If you have that situation where that's the only train that's going to go to that stadium is for games, you kind of cut all that stuff out.
Well, I remember when we went to Coventry last season, actually, that was a lot easier because the train station was right outside the ground and everything. And also it went pretty much immediately. It was always on time. But again, it was hourly trains, which is a problem. And the train networks are incredibly difficult. I mean, like, even now when away fans come, I remember it with the Plymouth FA Cup game a couple of seasons ago, and there was an announcement came over the tannoy saying that all the trains have been cancelled back to Plymouth and everything, but that way. It's like, well, they've fucking travelled all this way, and those people who have come on the train, they're now suddenly having to get a hotel in Birmingham or whatever, or taxi back down to the fucking south coast. But yeah, I've just seen the comments here from Phil. They have a ticket that's also part of your public transport. That would be good to have. It's just I don't know how easy it is British public transport is to sort stuff out like that.
We'll talk a bit more about this, Tommy. Josh needs to shoot off, so thank you for coming on, Josh.
No worries.
Speak to you in a bit.
See you, Josh.
Bye.
Bye. Tommy, we'll keep talking about the entertainment value and stuff of the current stadium with the UB40 gig being announced, the first one of their world global tour. So a huge announcement. That food for thought. I just hope we win, because that food for thought at that 90 minutes will be godly.
That would be good, yeah. I'm looking forward to that. It's a bit of a shame.
What are your thoughts on that?
Oh yeah, it's going to be absolutely great. I mean, it's not the same UB40 lineup really, but yeah, It's going to be great still. Just to have a bit of a sing at the end. I think what would have been great, but obviously they're obviously not all Blues, but Ocean Colour Scene as well would have been fantastic to have had on and everything. But I know that Simon's a Blues fan.
And just do a little.
Well, the streets as well. There's some good opportunities we can do stuff like that. JK. I mean, ELO as well. Like if we had Jeff Lynne at the end of the game, I think that'd just have to be for something massive. If we got back into the Premier League or something. But yeah, it'd be great. I'm looking forward to it.
Or announcing a new stadium.
Well, yeah, I think with the opening, the rebranding of the stadium and everything, it's going to be cool. It's just like a bit of a small gesture at the end of the game. Does it say it's going to be like an hour after the game?
They start at 5:15, I think, and it's due to go on for about an hour. Yeah, we all agree with this, Susan. It's not.
Yeah, I think the thing with Ali Campbell though is the fact that it just sounds immediately like UB40 when you play it, but
Yeah.
I don't know. It will still be good, you know. It'll be good to have a sing. I don't know how they're going to sort it out. Have they mentioned anything in terms of where everybody is in the in terms of where they're positioned? Because
No,
if we're in our seats and they're all on the stage on the
other end.
outside the away end, yeah, I don't know
But
how that's going to work.
I don't know how they're going to work it because it's straight after the game,
Mm.
and there's going to be away fans in there. So they're going to clear them out straight away, and then
Yeah, I
'cause
imagine
it's a
they'll clear everybody out.
pre-erected stage as well. So
Yeah.
it's interesting.
I think I think they'll clear out the away end, and then the rest of the home fans probably. I don't know. That's the thing though, because like if they can't move everybody into the stands, and I don't. Are we going to go on the pitch? Surely that would ruin the pitch. I don't really get it, you know, unless they're going to put some protective sheeting down for it, maybe. But I don't know. It's an interesting one to see how
It's
quickly
going to
they're
be
going to do it.
interesting to see. I
Yeah.
was looking at photos of the UB40 last time they were there, and everybody was just on the pitch, and it was just like a scaffolding construction on one side, and everybody's just on the pitch. So
I don't think pitch control maintenance back in the day was as tightly as it is now. To be honest,
it's
I think everybody was just allowed on. It's just like pitch. Well, just stand on the pitch. What's wrong with it?
it's interesting. Do you think it brings a different fan into St Andrews because they have to be there before the game?
Mm-hmm.
So, do you think there is going to be any UB40 fans that might be like, oh, you know,
Maybe
that might come to the game for the sake of seeing UB40 after?
Maybe. I don't know. It depends. I don't
possible.
know whether UB40 have got that type of fan base, whether they would come to Birmingham and watch them, or whether they would just go somewhere else, whether they just follow them on the tour. I think the idea for it is really just to be like a bit of a showing of this is what we can do. And it's definitely not to say that UB40 haven't got the... What is my fucking head tonight? I'm getting way too sidetracked. It's definitely not to say that UB40
this isn't your podcast now.
It's definitely not to say that UB40 aren't a big band. They are. They're massive definitely in Birmingham terms. But yeah, I just think that like it just looks like for Blues to have them back in St Andrews would be like a big sort of gesture, really. I think one thing actually is a bit of a shout out to my granddad. He's played on the pitch at the Blues before in a band called the High Kells, and he was. They performed on the pitch at every single FA Cup game in the 71-72 season, I think it is. And that we got all the way to the semi-finals against Hillsborough, and then they couldn't play on the pitch there. So it's always been a thing that my granddad said, like if we'd have played on the game at Hillsborough, we would have won that game. We would have got to the final. So that would have been great had that been come true. But yeah, he got us to a semi-final. My granddad's band did.
That's one way to think of it, I guess, is
Yeah.
you were the lucky charm.
It's about time I was a lucky charm or something.
Yeah.
Oh god.
I mean, I went straight from the game yesterday to a friend of mine's gig, and he does loads of different songs, and the people there, they were dying for UB40 and that sort of type of music. It's still massive in and around Birmingham, and I think it's a huge thing for the club to be able to announce. I think it really shows the owners understand the area. They could have announced anybody, and they've put on a band that we actually sing their song at the end of the games anyway. And some of those food for thoughts at the end of the games have been awesome. That one at after the Sunderland game,
that was great. Yeah,
it was just so exciting just to be stood there wailing. Let's be honest, just noise, isn't it?
Right? Yeah, because we don't even sing the lyrics, so we don't sing either Madonna or anything. It's just literally just the tunes of the song.
Yeah, it was just great, and it just feels like everybody's together, and you leave in there. And then I was so hyped after that food. I was still singing on my way out. And there's
Yeah,
the video
just that bit of is it in Davo's video or
Davo's video, yeah.
yeah,
he
it's you
posted
just
it on.
jumping around with your big
I
boots on.
had my boot on. I was overcome with excitement. But hey, it could be a good thing. It'd be nice to see. I remember, you're probably too young to remember this, but there used to be a band called Steel Bangles or something like that.
I feel like I remember them. Yeah,
They used to just play at half time.
Mm.
And it was a bit of halftime entertainment, and it was cool. And they're steel drums.
Yeah,
And
I feel like I do remember these.
music,
Yeah,
and then they go off, and it just it was so. I've seen that at any other stadiums in all the away games I've done where I've seen cheerleaders. I've seen
not even cheerleaders anytime soon. Fucking hell.
well, they're Americans, so so I've seen cheerleaders. I've seen like games like we used to do, like chip and win and all that sort of stuff. Never just seen a band come out, rock out half time like a Super Bowl, and then do that. And I think that's could be a potential way to bring in a bit of more fan experience. Would be to make half times used to have chip and win. Nobody used to watch it, but we all kind of did as well.
Yeah, it wasn't. I think the thing with chip and win, what made it a little bit, well, it was always crap, you know, because it was just a bit of halftime entertainment. But what it should have been really, it should have had like proper markers in the pitch, and because obviously they started to do this now with like you can see Rich on the screen halftime, but you can never used to have that, and you can never hear them as well. You know, it would always be, you never be able to hear it. And like, if somebody ever did get to like a decent standard, you know, and could chip it in rather than just rolling along the floor, they'd only ever be able to get to the third one if by some miracle they got to the fourth one. Every single time they would slip over whilst they were shooting. You know, it's just
it was so wet there.
I don't think I definitely have never seen anybody winning, that's for sure. But yeah, we've had some terrible halftime entertainment. We had the 888 Sport one that was awful. I never was interested in that one. We had like a dizzy penalties. The Shed, of course. Everybody used to boo it on us, didn't they? But yeah, everybody used to hate the Shed, didn't they? I don't know why. It was just booed it on. But also there's the dizzy penalties that's featured for like 2 games at the start of one season. I can't remember which one it was now. But yeah, is it half time, the UB40 thing, or after the game?
No, it's after the game. It's 5:15.
After the game,
yeah. Oh, let's say, Jamie, thank you for coming on. Thank you for being so in the comments as well and engaging. We appreciate it. We'll see you in 1 week. We're back to our 2-week cycles from next week. There's an issue last week where we couldn't do the show, so we're on the week we're not meant to be on, but we're back on next weekend and then back to the 2-week schedules. So we're back on next Sunday, 8:30. Jamie, it'd be nice to have you back on, and
Phil from Germany.
Bring your attitude and your humour with you next time as well. So keep right on. Yeah, it's after the game, and I think it'd be a little bit of a party. I think a lot of people will leave if we lose. If we win, that is going to be an amazing place to be. If we lose, that stadium's going to be.
Yeah, it could go one or two ways, couldn't it? It'd be like either really great with people on the pitch or everything, but also it could be just like, you know, the start of like the supporting acts when you first coming into the gig. It's like there's a couple of people here. It's just the other way around instead.
Yeah, it'd be an interesting one to see. We've not really got anything to go on to see anything along those lines either. But we are off as well, guys. So we're going to head off now. So I see a few people are tapping out as well. We are at the end of all of our stuff that we've had to go through today. So Tommy, as always, thank you for coming on.
No problem.
Appreciate it. Thank you for your time. Thank you everybody for watching, and of course commenting, being engaging with us. Now the conversation doesn't stop here, as I always say. Follow our pages. We are on all social medias, so Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, YouTube. Tommy has his Matchday vlogs. that you can go watch. We are on the videos as well, and then engaging in the content. We're going to be bringing more and more stuff via Blues Focus over the coming months. So keep an eye out. It's a really interesting time for the growth. So get on the Blues Focus socials and the Blues Focus Live Lounge. We are Blues Focus at Blues Focus or at Blues Focus Live. It is below Tommy over there, social media, at the bottom of Tommy's screen. That is what we are on all social medias. Been a pleasure, guys, and as always, keep right on, and I will see you next weekend at 8:30.
Get well, guys. And now we just go wait for the stream to end.